October 25th, about 2:30 a.m. Driving down the Pennsylvania Turnpike. The north-south extension. Something like that. 476. Not the one that goes east-west from, I don't know where, to like Philly, not Philly, maybe like the 78. I think there's it's also called the Turnpike. Anywho, and it's just a great time to record a podcast. It's perfect. And I mentioned the date and the time because as I am gonna speak, I want to make a disclaimer that whatever I say right now is true for right now, for me. And it's very possible that in as I release my thoughts, I will be no longer connected to them, and the truth will change. Right after that, maybe tomorrow. That happens quite often, where I have this great clarity and understanding and think I know it, and only to realize a little bit later that, oh, no, that wasn't it. There's always another layer. And the truth is just a little bit deeper. And then I have this discovery yet again and again and again. And sometimes I hear myself saying the same thing, but it means something completely different to me. So I'm just putting that disclaimer out that when you're going to call me and say, oh, I want to disagree, I'm probably going to agree with your disagreement. So that's it. Just making that disclaimer. So I'm driving down the highway here, and unconsciously, right now I'm going to make it conscious, I see tons of reflectors on the side of the highway. I have a lot of lines in the lane divider. I got a straight line on the shoulder on the right. There's a warehousing to the right of the highway as well, with a lot of trailers. I can notice some trees in the skyline, and if I look up, I'll see some stars. And I can't remember how the reflectors looked, the ones that I passed. They've already cleared out of my mind. They come in, they come out. They're not getting stuck. And I find that the same thing happens when I am out in nature, taking a hike, something like that, and I'm walking through lots of different terrain, and there's just a lot of trees. Some are big, some are small, some are fat, some are skinny, some are old, some are young. There's usually a lot of rocks on the ground, lots of different colors, big ones, small ones, maybe some leaves that fell off the trees, some dead branches, maybe even a squirrel, chipmunk, the occasional deer. And yeah, I don't get fixated on any of them. I just notice them, and they clear out of my mind, and that's great. But occasionally I go through life and there's something that gets stuck. It gets stuck inside me. It doesn't clear out. I'm going to give an example of something I could remember that's just pretty neutral. I remember driving, and if someone would get angry at me on the road, give me the finger or whatnot, it could ruin my whole day. I'd be replaying that story over and over again. Like, why did that guy do that? an asshole. You're just flicking me off, you know. I'm such a nice guy. I don't do any harm to people, not on purpose. Maybe I made a mistake. Like, okay, so just come talk to me like a person. Why are you flicking me off? And replaying that story over and over again. It wouldn't pass through. You know, and if we wanted to be very just objective, we would say, what's the difference? You know, you drive down the street and a million things happen. You see tons of trees, tons of lines in the dividers, tons of reflectors, mile markers. Nothing gets stuck. Then there's also a guy who flicks you off. Like, it's just another thing that you witnessed, that you saw, and life moves on. Why is that getting stuck? And I mean, I'll walk through the process over here. I think that's something I wanted to do, walk through my process of what goes on and what leads to a depression of sorts in myself. And what would happen is, as this person flicks me off, it is actually, I don't know the person, I'm probably not going to see them again, I don't remember their face, but they left me with this feeling of, you're a bad person, Mendy. And he means nothing to me, this guy that flicked me off. But I all of a sudden have become really heated up by this, and I start to blame him for my discomfort right now, and all the thoughts that are racing back and forth in my mind. You know, why did this happen? Who is this guy? What a schmuck, yada yada. And I'm definitely going into a victim mentality about, you know, feeling really sorry for myself, and also feeling really bad, like I really am a bad person. And what it is essentially, this person has woken up within me, something that's stuck. There's something stuck, and I need to ask at this time, why isn't this clearing through like everything else I've observed? Why did this get stuck? And 100% of the time, I will discover, if not right away, it may take some time. Some other things start piling up on top of this, possibly. The situation could get pretty bad. There could be a full-on shutdown of the system, the emotional system. That's possible. But eventually, I will go inside my psyche and ask, why is this significant? Why is it getting stuck? What are you here to teach me? And I will have to retrace it back to somewhere in my childhood or whatever, earlier lifetime, where I was made to feel bad for something. And, you know, I can probably go back to the 3rd grade where maybe I wasn't learning so well, and the teacher or a parent or whatnot, you know, was like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you learning? Something like that. It made me feel like, oh, I'm such a bad person. And those are really big feelings for a young child. And so I had to suppress them. I had to suppress them and say, we can't feel this right now. We got to get through life, and this is just too much. Let's shove them way down. And now that I'm 34, almost 35 years old, a couple of days, I say, hey, Wendy, you're big, you're strong, you're an adult now, and experiencing that feeling of, oh, I'm a bad person, is okay. You can handle it. And then I say, that's why this got stuck here. You want to teach me something. You want me to find this, you want me to find this suppressed feeling, this feeling of, oh, I'm so bad from the 3rd grade, and re-experience it, so to speak. And once experienced, it can be released. Just like all the trees that I'm passing when I hike, they come in, I see them, and they go out. And the same as with these feelings. They need to be seen, observed, and clear out. Problem is, when I hold on to them, and I don't want to release them, then they get stuck. And then I become obsessive with the thought, and it keeps running around in my mind, and I'm not letting go of it. And why am I not letting go of it? It's because it's attached to something else. It isn't an independent episode of a guy flicking me off in a car. It actually is bringing up for me something that is trapped, and sometimes it's trapped way deep. Imagine that episode replayed itself hundreds of times in my childhood, and then later on, and I was always afraid to feel it. So even yesterday, someone made me feel bad, but something happened that made me feel like I'm a bad person again, and I suppressed it yet again, still afraid to have those feelings. Then yes, of course, it's going to re-trigger, every time that feeling came up. So now if I go into a little bit of a meditative state and allow what needs to come up, because I recognize that it's ready. I'm ready. I'm mature enough to experience this feeling in a healthy way, and then I can release it, and it's all going to be fine. Then I go ahead and do it, and that will, can come with a lot of tears, especially if I am revisiting, my early childhood and watching my young self going through things that were too big for him at the time. It can bring up a lot of sadness, and also brings up a lot of compassion for self. And it's a beautiful process. It's a beautiful process to feel compassion for myself, or for oneself. I'm just talking about myself here. And then there's a release. For me, it's always with tears. A lot of tears. A lot of wailing, crying, feeling all that pain. And it's amazing because it's clear after it's gone. And if something else comes up, I do the same process until it all clears itself out. And now as I go through life, I am ultimately still a child and recollecting maybe more stuff. And then I will find that there's something else trapped. But eventually, I think we can just learn how to become real observers. How I can become a real observer with a lot of awareness of these are just experiences that need to be observed, and I allow myself to just let it pass through. I'm just watching the show, just like I watch the trees And why does that work? Why does that work? Or why do I get stuck and fixated on certain things? So, let's go back to the tree thing a second. Why is it that when I'm hiking or driving, there's a million things passing by and nothing gets stuck? It all passes through. The speed limit, 55, for me, means absolutely nothing. It's just something I'm observing. It's not getting stuck. It's not creating blockage in my system. And the reason is that I do not attach any judgment to the trees, whether they be big, tall and skinny, or fat and short, dead, alive, green, red, yellow. It makes no difference. I don't have any judgment towards the tree. They just are. Same as with the mile markers and all the signs and all. I don't have any judgment towards them. And so it's just something I observe, and it passes by. With people, however, especially people we know, or I know, there's often a judgment. There's a judgment. Like, oh, if a person is doing this, they're good. If they're doing that, they're bad. If they look like this, they're pretty. If they look like that, they're not pretty. There's always some judgment. I like this about that person. I don't like this about that person. With the tree, I don't have any judgment. All trees are great. I don't really care. I'm just witnessing you. You come in, you go out. And the same thing is within my own system. My mind does not stop for 1 minute. It just is going all day. I also have a full range of emotions. I have happy, sad, angry, calm, and anything in between. Just hundreds and hundreds of different feelings and emotions and thoughts. And I've come to learn that there are ones that I like and there are ones I don't like. And so when I'm in a certain state of mind and I don't like it, I become attached to it. I'm like, oh, I don't like this. I start to judge it. And when I start to judge it, then I become fixated on it and trying to change it. And then I'm going down a road of a lot of suffering. If every tree I passed, I had some judgment towards it and was trying to change it, I'd be very, very, very busy. And I'd really be just stuck at the first tree trying to change it for the rest of my life. And that's pretty much what happens with my thoughts until I learn to just accept that this is how they are, and I can just observe it from a distance. And the same thing with my emotion. Something triggered some emotion, I just need to witness it. Step out of the... Don't become part of the drama, just observe it. Similar to the way I observe all the other things in my life that I'm just observing. And if it means something, if it means the process I just described earlier, that, oh, there's something here for me, there's something to learn, then I go and learn it, and we move on. I don't need to obsess with changing the feeling. And I don't need to battle with it. I'm just here to witness it without judgment. And if there's no judgment, it can come and it can go. And it's not good and it's not bad. And I stop chasing my highs and running for my lows. I just live in a place of full awareness. The highs and lows, I've spoken about this earlier in another episode, are the same. They're really all the same. It's just that for some reason I've been educated myself to attach a good label to the high and a bad label to the low. And so when I'm going through an experience that feels like I'm on a high, I say, this is good. I like this. This is me. I want this. And when I'm going through a low, I say, this is not me. I don't like this. This is bad. And I start to judge the experience. But I'm also judging the good experience the same way. And I think the real training actually happens when I'm on a high, to actually step back into the seat of my awareness and just be aware that, oh, I'm going through a high right now, and it feels good. Okay, cool. I like this feeling, I like this feeling, and observing myself liking it. Interesting. And that's where the training is, and not be like, this is me. Like, it isn't me. It's definitely not me. None of it is me. If I'm witnessing it or observing it, then it certainly isn't me. It's the same way the trees aren't me. I just watch them. And if I can watch it, then it's definitely not me. I am the one watching it. So I'm watching my high, and I'm also watching my low. And I'm not getting attached to any of them. I watched a video the other day on YouTube of a couple singing on the street, and they sing beautifully. They were singing Hallelujah, Hallelujah, and there's a big audience, and they're all watching, except at least 50%, if not more, are holding their phone out, recording this duet. But they're not watching the duet anymore. They're watching it through the screen of their phone. And I thought it's just so sad that they're sitting in this. It's a great moment right here. There's this two people singing so beautifully, and all they can do is to think about how can I hold on to this feeling, or how can I share it with someone else. And they pull out their phone to record it, to save it for later, and they've just actually missed the moment. And there's no need to run down memory lane all the time, where the world, it's constantly, there's always something right here, right now. Why am I trying to hold on to this great moment? Even if it's a great moment, I don't have to hold on to it. Experience it and release it. Anything I'm holding on to becomes a source of blockage. Whether I attach a good label to it or a bad label to it, it's blockage. The good and bad is actually, it's just our training that this is good and this is bad. It's not really true. It probably started when Adam and Chava ate from the tree of knowledge, and then they started to see, oh, things are good and things are bad. But nothing actually changed in the world. They just attach now labels to it. This is good and this is bad. And that becomes very tricky. Becomes tricky. But in truth, it isn't good or bad. The truth is, it's all godly. They're not good and they're not bad. They just need to be observed and witnessed, watched, and released. And it's unfortunate when there's a show right in front of you that's great, and you need to take out your phone and lose yourself in the future. Like, oh, let me save this for later, or I need to show this to someone else so they can validate how cool it was. No. Become present. Say, wow, this is an amazing duet that I'm watching. They sing so beautifully together. And see what emotions it brings up for you, you know. Enjoy the moment. Don't try to save it. There'll be more. There always is. You don't have to save it. And yeah, and I know that when I go through these things and I'm holding on to something, it's going to lead to some sort of depression in my system. There's going to become a block. And And it's not even a bad thing. It just is. Most of the time it's there to teach me that there's something I need to unblock. Like if I'm feeling blockage, obviously I have something there, and it's usually older. It's not a new thing. It's not like it came up now because this is a brand new event. No, it's usually attached to something old. And this is just it's coming up now because my body and my heart know that I'm mature enough to handle it and to feel it in a adult way and move on. And I'm just going to give an example so we can understand this concept a little better. When I was a baby, I used to need to use the bathroom, like I still do today. However, I was too small to walk and too young to even understand what my body was doing. And so I would just, anytime anything came up, I would just let it go, whether it be number 1 or 2. And so my parents, who were there to take care of me, put a diaper on me. And they said, "Hey, Mendy, no problem. You gotta do your thing. We understand. We're gonna put a diaper on you so it all stays in one place and it's sanitary and it doesn't hurt anybody else or yourself." As I got older and I learned to walk, now I can bring myself to the bathroom. They taught me that, hey, when you have this feeling inside your body, it means you need to run to the toilet and release it over there. And as I got good at that, they said, hey, there's no more need for the diaper anymore. We can stop buying you those. You know how to use the bathroom. There was one issue. I didn't know how to clean myself at the time. And so, I had to call, hey, mommy, or as my daughter likes to, you'll hear if you're at my house at any given time, Tati, could you wipe me? And, I'd call for help. And they'd come to the bathroom, the place where I do my thing, and help wipe me. And as a parent, you understand the risk of when you wipe your child, you may get some dirt on your hand. And that's okay. I've accepted this role. This is my job here. No need to apologize. I will go to the sink, take some soap and clean it off, and I move on. I don't obsess about the schmutz you put on my hand. I know how to clean myself from it. And as I got older, I learned how to wipe myself. And thank God, today, for now, on October 25th, at 34, almost 35 years old, I know how to do this whole process on my own. I don't need any help. I'm able to go to the bathroom, and I don't have episodes. I could remember once, I think the last time I had an accident was maybe in 5th grade on the corner of President and Kingston. I really needed to go, and home was too far, and I wet myself. It happens. So, but other than that, I've matured. I've matured in that way, and I know how to take care of myself. When my body needs to go, I know where to go. I know how to do it. I know how to clean it up. It doesn't affect anyone else, and it's a very clean operation. And emotionally, we have the same thing. Just because we grew older in years, it doesn't mean we've matured emotionally until we've learned how to take care of our emotions. When they come up, they need to be released. If we hold on to it, we will get sick. Just like if we didn't know how to release the bathroom stuff, we would get sick. The same thing is with our emotions. Now, a person might say, well, my emotions came up, I'm just gonna lash them out all over the place. And that's kind of like a baby who is doing number 1 and number 2 all over the place, and it expects people to clean up after him. Yes, that's age appropriate at about 6 months, maybe to 1, 2, 3 years old. Yep, it makes sense. You make a mess and you don't know how to clean it, and someone else has to clean it for you. But as you train, you understand that there's a certain place where you do your release. And the same is with our emotions. We learn how to release them in a mature fashion. Now, we understand that there's a place for it, so maybe some people will go to therapy, and they understand that in the office of the therapist, that is a good place to release emotions. Now, the therapist understands that, while he's doing that job, he's like the wiping parent, and his hands may get dirty. But he also knows how to use soap and clean it off, hopefully. But if he doesn't, that's another story. Then he could be walking around with dirty hands, and when the next patient comes in and he's not clean from the previous one, he may start to let some of that odor out in the room, and things could get sticky. But let's just assume that he knows how to do it, because that's not what this is about. I'm not trying to go into coaching the coaches. I'm not ready for that. I have a lot to learn still, but it's still true that if the therapist doesn't know how to clean their hands and release what isn't theirs, they carry it around and then bring it into a different session. Things can start getting a little contaminated. But we're going to assume the therapist knows how to wash his hands, so you're allowed to release in that space. And as we mature, we learn how to wipe ourselves. And we know how to do it. And then emotions come up, they are experienced and released. And the system is clear, and there's flow, and things are nice. Now, when it comes to maturing, of course, everybody matures at their own speed. Everyone's on their own journey. There's nothing to compare. There's no time. In Western culture, there's always the percentile. Is that what I think that's what they call it. Like, your child is in the 50 percentile and the 90 percentile. And everyone has a grade and a mark if they're maturing at the average age, and if everything's good according to everyone else, comparing to everyone else. And I just want to say that in this process, this emotional or spiritual maturation process, there's really nothing to compare to. We're all on our own journey, and the more we can focus on where we are holding and what is needed of me today, and not if I am like someone else and maturing at the speed they did or the age they are currently, and then I'm just saying that we're all on our own journey, and wherever you're holding, that's where you're at, and it's beautiful, and enjoy it. And wherever I'm at is beautiful. And I think the difference between the example I gave of using the bathroom and our emotional process is that once you learn how to use the bathroom, you kind of, maybe recycle, maybe you revisit that space again, when you're really old and you forget how to use the bathroom again, or you're just not able to at the way you did for most of your life. But in the emotional place, as far as I am in my maturing state, I feel like it's constantly revisiting, constantly going through these cycles that seem to be similar. Like, I feel like all mature only to discover I'm still a child somewhere else, and maturing that part of me forever and ever and ever. So really you can't compare, and we shouldn't. Comparison is the killer of all joy. So just wanted to mention that as well. On another note, there's something very interesting we find in this process a lot. That's something very important to reflect upon, and this is a real maturing moment or stage when you've come to this realization. The world functions as a mirror, as the Baal Shem Tov says, that Hashgacha Pratis is that everything you see and everything that comes to your awareness is for you to take a lesson from in your service to God. I know I didn't mention a lot about God in this journey that I'm talking about, but it's all godly. It's all godly. When you act as the witness of your own experience, that is so godly. It is so godly. You're acting almost, I think, you're acting as God, as the witness of your own creation, and letting it play out because you've given it free choice. It's the same idea. It's the same idea. Like, I remove myself from everything that's going on and observe it as God would observe me in my free choice. And it, I didn't go through every detail of the process, but there's so much prayer involved and so much asking of Hashem to give me the clarity, to help me see and feel the lessons that need to be learned. Because we all know what it's like to be in a stuck place and you have no idea what is stuck. And that's where prayer comes in, and asking, and bringing in our Father in heaven, God, and asking Him to guide us through this process and really help us. And it's a super godly process. So although I didn't use and say God 1,000 times, it's all godly. It is so godly. And without God, then we try to do everything on our own and carry it all, and there's 1,000 different things to carry, and so many things are being relied upon us, and people are relying on us, and it's impossible to carry all of it on our own. The only way is to have something to lean on, which is our partner and our husband, God alone, and ask Him for His help. So putting that out there as well, that this is definitely one of the keys, not one of the keys, but the key in this process, to recognize that God is here to help us in our process, and the whole process is mimicking God, and it's all one, and it's beautiful. And back, after that little brief advertisement for God, we are back to talking about the Hashgacha Pratis of the Baal Shem Tov, and I'll share this beautiful story that I love to share. I know I've shared it before, and I will share it again. There was a chassid of the Rebbe Marash, who Frierdiker Rebbe writes when he records the story in Sefer HaSichos, I believe. He says that this person was simple. He was a younger man, a young man. He wasn't a great scholar, but he was fluent in Likutei Torah, in the Chassidus of the Mittler Rebbe, and some other stuff. Not a great scholar, but fluent in some of the deepest Chassidic teachings. And he went into the Rebbe Marash to ask him for advice as he was getting married and leaving the Beis Medrash life and going out into the world. And the Rebbe Marash told him that when he will go out, he will meet people. And in some people, he will see defects. And in some people, he will see greatness. And he should know that the defects he sees in other people, are his own defects, and the milas, the greatness he sees in other people, they're also his. He should take them on. He should adopt them. And he added that if you don't believe this, then you are a kafir, a heretic. And he says this is the Ashkar Brothers of the Baal Shem Tov, that every person that we meet is there to teach us something. And we take the lessons, and we learn, and we move on until the next teacher shows up. And so, essentially, the world works as a mirror. That's what he's saying. Now, let's go to a physical mirror for some understanding. When I look into the physical mirror and I see something I don't like, or I see some schmutz on my face, I don't reach out to the mirror and try to scrub it off. I reach onto my face and clean it off. And then the mirror shows me a clean face. And that's exactly how it is in my spiritual world. How do I know what's going on inside me? In my emotional state? In my mental state? I use the world as a mirror. I use people, other people. So when I'm out there and the dude flicks me off and I feel like, what an asshole. He was so mean. He hurt me. And I start to blame him. It's like me reaching out onto the mirror and trying to correct the whatever I'm seeing in the mirror and say, you fix it. If you fix the mirror, then it will show me a clean face. Because this guy is actually just showing to me that there's a part of me that I don't like, a part of me that I'm not accepting, a part of me that thinks that feels like I'm a bad person. And then I'm seeing it in him. You're a bad person. Come here and say you're sorry, when really I have to just apologize to myself. I think using that analogy today, if I walk down the street and someone flicked me off, I think it would absolutely mean nothing. I would be like, oh, this person is maybe be having a hard day. I'm sorry for him. And life goes on. Yeah, I think so. I'm imagining that's how it is. I think I've matured in that. In this specific example, I think we've cleared it out. I've certainly not clear everywhere, or maybe I am right now. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But the point is that we can see where we've cleaned up because we use the same mirror. If I come home one day feeling terrible about my day, and I'm judging myself, and then I say hi to my wife, and she looks at me, and I feel a bunch of judgment, and I say, why are you judging me? Just because I didn't have the best day. She's just mirroring to me that I am judging myself. And it's true. She might be judging me, but she's only judging me because she's a mirror. And if I'm having judgment to myself, she's going to reflect to me judgment. And now I could scream at her and say, if you would accept me and not judge me, life would be much better. But then I'm reaching out to the mirror and trying to clean off the schmutz on the mirror, but it's not on the mirror. The mirror is just a reflection. If I had no judgment in me for myself, because I didn't have the most productive day or whatnot, and I came home and I was just okay with it. This was my experience today. I witnessed myself having a blah day where I binged YouTube and did nothing at my office at all. And I was like, wow, what an interesting day. Today, you binged YouTube. Woohoo. And released it, and I came over with no judgment for it and said, hey, Mush, hi, today was a blah day. She would probably say, yay. And I would say, yay. And life goes on. We eat dinner and we move on with the day. There would be no judgment. Even if she judged me, I would not see it because I'm looking at a mirror. I would not see it. I only can see what I put in front of the mirror. And this is 100% true. Believe it or not. And you will find that when you start to blame the mirror, it's just that victim mentality. And it gets you nowhere. And then when you clean up that mirror, the next mirror is just showing you the same image again and again and again, and you will find it everywhere, and you will blame the whole world until you realize you're looking at a mirror, and all you need to do is clean your own face, and the world will reflect back to you your very pretty face. And thank you guys for listening. I certainly have enjoyed myself here, and certainly was great entertainment for my ride to the airport. It's almost there. So if you think there's someone that can benefit from this podcast, please pass it on. And yeah. Thank you. Cheers.